Hey, what's up, y'all? So it is hunting season, or actually I guess it's kind of pre-season, which is really one of my favorite times of the year because if you're like me, you're probably getting some new gear. And so you're waiting for that UPS guy to show up and see what he's going to bring you. And this year is not any exception. As you can see, we're going to talk about packs. I've got part of my collection here. I try new ones not every year, but you know, I see something new come out, I want to try it, so I buy it and give it a shot and see how it works. I've found a lot over the years that I like, but I've yet to find the perfect pack. There's always something like, oh, I would have changed this or I would have changed that, but still worked with some really good ones, including these back here. But what we're going to do in this video, it's going to be really short, so you got to pay attention. And it's how to fit your pack. When you put your pack on, especially if you're getting a new one, you need to know how it fits and how to put it on properly and cinch everything down and make sure that it's fitting properly. Because the big thing is whenever you're going in, and especially if you're coming out heavy, you want to be comfortable. You don't want that hurting anywhere on your back or your hips or your shoulders. So that's what we're going to do here real quick. You can see I've got a number of packs. The one that I'm going to use today is one that I just got in. It's from Initial Ascent. I had an opportunity to use it in Montana at the Elk Summit with a bunch of other guys. They had a bunch of these there. They had them loaded down, I think it was 60 pounds, and we did some little competitions with them and stuff. It was super comfortable, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. I called those guys. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I have spoken with Dennis, one of the owners, on the phone. I ended up getting mine ordered. I will say this about them, their customer service is fantastic and they're very responsive. I ended up having to order another piece to go with this one that I failed to order, and they got it out just immediately to me. So I'm liking that part of it right away. So I have already made some adjustments on this one of the bigger adjustments that I'll show you here in a minute, just to make sure that it's fitting my torso properly, and that's very easy to do. But one of the first things that you'll want to do whenever you go to fitting your pack is put some weight in it. I have been using this one for a couple of weeks now, just going through my neighborhood, and I put 50 pounds in it. And I can't even tell that the weight is there. Right now, I took one of my sandbags out. They're 25 pounds each. So I've got 25 pounds in here, and what that does is just kind of let everything settle down so you can tell, you know, whenever you've got a load, somewhat what it's going to feel like. What I'm going to do is go through each one of the straps that you will need to adjust and just talk a little bit about what each one does. So the first one here, and I am going to do these in order that you should do them in, and there's reasoning for that as well. So the first one being the big one, which is going to be your hip belt. One of the cool things about Initial Ascent is that they do come in different sizes, and there's a sizing chart on their website. So you want to start with everything pretty loose. Like I said, I've already been using this one, so I've been adjusting stuff, but I've got everything loosened up right now. So the hip belt, this is where you want the majority of your weight to be. You don't want it, the majority to be on your shoulders. So just gonna buckle it together and then cinch this down. Now where this lines up, it doesn't come down like where you would wear your belt. It's actually gonna be up higher. So right where your hip bone, where the point of it is, you want that covered pretty much right in the center. So here's where my regular belt buckle is, and here's the buckle for the hip belt here on the backpack. So I'm not going to do this down too tight yet, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute, but this is where you want to carry by far the majority of your weight. And as you're adding more weight to it, hopefully you're coming out heavy. If you're hunting, you're probably going to want to cinch it down a little bit tighter than what I've got here. So then the next thing, and I've probably already had these, I'll go ahead and loosen them up a little bit. You can see that adjusted my pack. So these are for my shoulder straps. There's, in all backpacks, they're gonna be pretty close to the same. Each company probably puts their little spin on it. I really like the length of how far these come down on the Initial Ascent because they don't dig in to my sides. So you want about 20% of your weight on your shoulders. And so I'm gonna cinch these down. You can see how those are drawn up just a little bit. And that's really about where I want them. You may have to make adjustments as you go. And as you adjust some of the other straps I'm gonna show here in a second, you may need to change this a little bit. But this is just simply for the shoulder straps. The next one that I do is the chest strap. Now, this really doesn't have a function as far as load bearing or anything like that. You can see how loose I have it right now. I just tighten it to just about like that. So you know, it's still relatively loose, but it's not to carry any load. I see a lot of guys really cinch that down. It pulls your shoulders forward. You want your shoulders to be able to go back to help carry that load. So you don't want it too tight at all on there. So just about like what I've got there. And the other thing, the main thing that it does, it's going to help pull your shoulder straps in so that they're not, you know, digging in underneath your armpits on there. So that's really pretty comfortable. Then the other one that especially a lot of new hunters or new backpackers don't know a whole lot about. So these are the load straps here. So those actually adjust here on the top of what they're called load lifters. But as you can see, as I pull that in, it's pulling that load closer to me. So, and this is one that as you continue your hike, you may have to adjust, especially if the weight changes. But as you're hiking, if things start to loosen up, you may need to tighten them a little bit more. But you'll have to fine tune it. Because what this does, obviously I just pulled that in closer to my back. You don't want it too tight where it's gotten your load top heavy, and you don't want it back too far to where you're back heavy. So you want it where if you've got 50, 60 pounds in your pack, that it feels like you've got 20. And I've only got 25 in here right now, and I don't feel anything at all. So I've got this adjusted pretty well. And you want here on the side where you can get your, I'm doing my thumbs, where you can get your thumbs or fingers under there as well, and not have, you know, any part sticking up. Now, if your shoulder straps are starting to stick up, that means that you don't have the torso length adjusted properly. And I'll show you on this one here in just a second. I just got to kind of reset a little bit, but that's really it. It's really that simple. So don't let it intimidate you, and just make those adjustments. Do them in that order. Again, as your weight changes, make your adjustments as you need to. So I'm going to reset here, and I'll show you how you can make your first adjustments to make sure that it fits properly. For your torso length, to be able to get the hip belt to where I was showing you earlier, every pack is going to be a little bit different. They all just have their own little twist on it. Initial ascent here is pretty easy. They have a strap here that locks it down, and one here you can see that it adjusts or it locks down the shoulder pad, and then that is attached to the frame with Velcro. So if I needed it to be a little bit taller, all I'm going to do is loosen that up, and I'm going to raise it. If I need it to be a little bit shorter, I'm just going to go the opposite direction, and it's literally that simple. So you just fine tune it a little bit, and then you do all your other adjustments that I just showed you, and you're good to go. So main thing is you guys want to be comfortable. Next week on our next video, make sure you come back, and we're going to show you some tips on how to load your backpack. There's probably some things that if you're relatively new to this that you might be doing wrong that seems counterproductive to what I'm going to tell you, but I promise you it will make you a whole lot more comfortable. So I hope to see you guys on the next video.